Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have my book review of the book The Darkling Child by Terry Brooks, the second book in his Defenders of Shannara trilogy. I read a couple of months ago the book The High Druid's Blade, which was the first book in the trilogy. You can check out my review of that book. And I've, of course, been a huge fan of the Shannara series. I've read all of the Shannara books up until this point, and a lot of Terry Brooks' other novels. He's one of my favorite novelists. The only Shannara adjacent books I haven't read are the Word and Void trilogy, which I just haven't gotten to yet, and then the next series after this, which is The Fall of Shannara, which I'm really excited to get to eventually. But I read High Druid's Blade in January, and I thought it was mixed. There were some great things about it. I thought the first 70 pages were like an epic novella. Like, they were really well done. And then I thought it kind of meandered for a while. And the problem with the first book is the main character fights off against the villain like 3 or 4 times. And by the third time, I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. You should not be meeting him this many times in a single novel. So that was a problem, I thought, with the first book. I also thought that it was too disjointed, but at least the first book was following Paxton Lee, who I do like as a character. The second book, Paxton Lee's involved, and he's kind of the anchor for the trilogy, but he's not the main character here. The main character here is a new character called Ren, or Ran. I'm not sure how you say it. Ran, whatever. Ran Frosh, who is another Umsford adjacent family member who has use of the Wish Song. And so while Paxton Lee has other aspects of the magic, this character from this book, Ran, kind of has the Wish Song. And because of that, the evil magic user, Arcanon, who is the villain from the first book, returns and is trying to sway Ran to go to his side to work on his evil schemes. And so Paxton is sent with another druid to try to find out what's happening and try to separate Rayan from Arcanon so that they can take Rayan back to the Druid's Keep back at Paranor and raise him with the Druids so that they can teach him the right way to use his magic. And, of course, Arcanon isn't happy with that. And then there's also a subplot about the military of the Southlands that doesn't like Arcanon, and they're fighting him, but for different reasons and all that stuff. And I'll be quite honest, most of this book I found flatly boring and just a retread. Oftentimes I like it when Terry Brooks either borrows from others or even borrows from himself, but here it didn't feel enough original. There were elements of it, like there is a love interest, Lariana, who's brought in for Ran, who, the way they bring her in, I was like, ooh, how are they going to use her? How is she, this is a very different way that they're using the love interest here. She's almost a seductress in ways. However, once she joins the story, like after her first initial scene, she just follows the rabbit trail that all the love interests do in these novels, and it just becomes kind of boring and cliche. So there's that. Also, I thought that overall the book, the action wasn't exciting enough for me. Maybe it's just because I've read so many of these that just the action didn't do enough. And it's also a very short book. Because of this, he's not able to do quite as much with these books. And when the first book is so focused on one character, and then your second book just goes to an entirely new, different character, and the main character from the first book is only like lightly mentioned, he's only in a few scenes in this book, it's not the best design. At least with the Scions tetralogy, the Heritage tetralogy, you had all the characters in book 1, and then books 2, 3, and 4 kind of have main characters that, like a main character that takes center stage, and the other characters are referenced or have a single scene. Here, it's like, no, this is all about one character, and then the next novel, it's all about another character, and this character just happens to pop in. So that was a little frustrating. One praise I can give this book is that it does one thing that I really, really loved, and I want to see how this pays out, and that is that the Arcanon, the villain in this book, is basically an evil Al-Anon. Because when you read the original Shannara novels, I'm talking The Sword of Shannara, the Elfstones, and Wish Song of Shannara. You read those 3 novels, you see Al-Anon, he goes in, finds an Umsford family member, and convinces them to join his cause, and he recounts to them part of their history with magic, and convinces them to join him. And as part of that, he doesn't give out all the information he has until the very end or until it's absolutely necessary to reveal that. And oftentimes this causes resentment because he didn't reveal all of his information. Well, that pitch describes our canon to a T. He does all of those exact same things. The difference is you know from the outset that our canon is evil, whereas we pretty much knew that Al-Anon was good. Al-Anon is like Gandalf. Our canon is like Saruman. But the difference is that they're doing the same, like our canon's doing the same things that Gandalf does, but because you know he's a villain, it changes your perception. Whereas when you see, Al-Anon is good, it changes your perception there. So I did enjoy how this contrasts specifically. I can't imagine that was happenstance, that Terry Brooks is just borrowing so much that he just happened to do that. I want to say that he knew he was doing this in such a way that he knew he was making Al-Anon comparisons with our canon, but as evil. So I'd be interested to find out if that, but I'm pretty sure it was deliberate. It was deliberate. So overall, I thought this was like a bland book. I still would give it a 6 out of 10 just because there were individual scenes that I loved. There's a sequence where our canon is talking with another character and Lariana comes in. I thought that was a brilliant scene. I also thought that some of the little moments between Rayan and Lariana worked well. And I thought that the whole Arcanon trying to sway Rayan worked well. But I don't think anything else really worked well in this novel. The action, the overall plot, I don't think this worked really well as a novel. So I think that Hydruid's Blade is a little bit better a book. So I'm hoping that the third book, which I will intend to read in the next 2 months sometime, The Sorcerer's Daughter, it's a longer book, which is good, but I hope that it redeems the trilogy for me. But right now I'm not feeling it. Right now it's more of I'm reading this because I have to. But really it's just so I can get to the fall series, which is the final Shannara series. So those are my impressions about The Darkling Child. If you've read this book, what did you think of it? Leave your comments your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you haven't read this book, but you've read other Terry Brooks fantasy novels, which one was your favorite and why? I love talking about Terry Brooks because he is a favorite author. It's just, I think he overall turned in a bland book. So those are my thoughts. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.